Alright, what is up, everybody? First off, welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning into the video. This video is something that if you've watched any of my live streams, I think I've covered it a few times. The topic, I basically said that I wasn't going to be making guide videos or these types of things. Since we already have a lot of resourceful players in the community on YouTube and stuff that make guides and different types of videos. However, this is one topic that I do seem to get inboxed quite a bit about, whether it be in-game, in the YouTube comments, outreached on Discord. The question comes up quite a bit. And with the people that I've helped directly on this, they seem to like the results that come from it, whether it be people that haven't spent any money at all in the game, small spenders, and even whales or higher spenders. The same rules and principles kind of apply across the board, and so I think it's kind of something that's beneficial to talk about and to cover, and hopefully it helps benefit you guys the same way it's kind of benefited myself and the people that I've kind of helped with it. It's all fairly simplistic as an idea. However, I think it's something that's kind of overlooked, or some of the small details are kind of overlooked, and it leads to missed opportunities. So, with that in mind, as you can tell from the title of the video, we are going to be talking about or at least my version of an optimized way to get a hero from no armaments up to pretty much the max capabilities that said hero can get from armaments. And we're going to be taking a look at this little graphic here that I made in Paint. Don't mind me. This is just something I threw together again in a couple of minutes because I don't usually make these videos. But yeah, the information is something that I continue to share out. So anyways, what we're looking at here is essentially a graph. And this right here on the y-axis is the hero power, the x being your time played. And the assumption is that your average player, as they spend time in the game, expects and wants their hero to grow from their armaments. And while there are many ways to go about that, and many ways to argue what is the best way to build your armaments, whether it be to spread them out, focus on one armament set, focus on two or three, I think there's a lot of arguments to be said for each case. However, the specific one that we're going to be focusing on is building one armament set, or focusing on one armament set, specifically with your hones and stuff, over an extended period of time. You'll passively level up the other ones as you get extra copies for them and stuff. However, most of your resources and investments, relic copies and things like that, will be focused on one set. Before we go into the actual guide itself, and into each step here, one important thing to talk about is that if you are a free-to-play player or a small spender and you are just getting started with armaments, or you are just starting to focus on it, a more important factor than the armament itself is going to be the heroes that you're going to be equipping these armaments onto. So while it is important to get your armaments up, you obviously want to make sure that the heroes you're equipping them to are awakened, or are your strongest heroes to begin with, since those base stats that they have, skills, skill damage, passives, and things like that, will be of equal importance or more when it comes to armaments. Less important the stronger your armaments are, but early on especially, you're going to want to make sure that you have the heroes awakened. So if you have an awakened Bella Elena and your strongest infantry is a 5-1-1-1 Thunder, maybe we take a look at building a rider armament set. Anyways, yes, so that would be the first thing I focus on, is that before I focus on the armaments themselves, figure out which of my heroes I have awakened, which ones I enjoy using, and which ones I'm using the most, as those will likely have the best benefit. So the first kind of pillar here, or milestone, I would say, on this journey to getting your hero up, is getting a gold armament piece in each slot. So, yeah, once you've kind of determined what hero you want to use, before you step into honing it all, which is why there's this red hold right here written out. Hold your hones is what this means. Don't be using your hones, your blues or your purples during this time until you have a gold in each slot. And then once you have a gold in each slot, more so, getting each one of those gold pieces to 1 star. We don't want to use any hones until that happens, because what ends up happening is, if I come back over to my game here, let's say that for boots, for example, let's say I was getting boots for ranged, and I was just starting out, and I got a copy of combat boots, and I got a copy of canvas boots. I wouldn't want to start honing or investing hones into one of these, because let's say that I thought that combat boots, because it has a blue range squad attack, was going to be the one I want to go for. Then all of a sudden I do the armament tracking, the daily here, and lo and behold, I pull a copy of canvas boots. Now all of a sudden I'm able to merge these right off the bat and unlock a 3rd hone slot, which is a huge milestone in terms of power growth when it comes to armaments, is unlocking each new hone attribute slot. And so because I had waited, I found that the other copy of boots now has the extra hone slot. And if I back out of here further and go to my armaments, now any extra spare relics that I get from events, from spending if I am a spender, from just fighting events or whatever it may be, rebate events, I get more copies of boots. Now these can automatically go towards getting these, getting these more copies. And look at that. I had 6 copies and I have 25 relic pieces or relic parts or copies for getting this up. So I would be able to get a 3rd piece. So now I have these boots at 2 star while these are still sitting back at 1. So just because I waited until I was at 1 star to start honing, I created a much more optimal opportunity for myself to invest in something that I'm probably going to be using for the longer term, where I now have 3 copies of 1 boots as opposed to 1. So once I have each armament piece to 1 star, I would then look at doing all gold hones in each in each slot. And again, for visual purposes, what I'm talking about here is each one of these hone attribute slots. And so since we unlocked this one here, you should have now 3 hone slots in each piece that need to be honed. And when we look back at the diagram here, I put applicable hones. Now what that means is that just because we got a yellow garrison basic attack damage hone roll on my ranged hero, does not mean that we want to take it, because odds are the majority of the time I'm not going to be playing garrison or leading garrison with my said ranged hero. So by applicable hones, essentially what we're talking about here is that we want hones that essentially apply to what hero we have them equipped to in the role we're going to be playing. So lethality, block, said squad attack, or said troop attack that your troop type actually is. All those are applicable to the field, rally, or garrison, whatever it is that you plan on doing. So that would be what we're looking for, is that in each of those 3 hone slots, you would have something that applies specifically and benefits the role that you'd be playing in that hero type. Once you've done that, your next goal would be to get to each armament piece to 3 stars as you unlock the 4th hone slot on the armament itself. This is again another huge power spike, as it opens up 6 more opportunities amongst your pieces to get bonus buffs, with those chances also getting red hones on those rolls. That brings us to this upper part here, and there's a few extra labels. But before I go into that, sorry, I drink my coffee here. Before I go into that, I want to cover what we're talking about over here in the top right, because I just noticed or realized that I hadn't mentioned that part. The 4 to 5 mil F and the 6 to 7 mil P. F stands for free, P stands for paid, like pay to play, pay to win, pay to benefit. You know, there's plenty of different things you can call it. Many different things people do call it. However, although there are ways to get devices as a free-to-play player, specifically gold devices, the opportunities are much less. You can get the IE augmenter. Excuse me. I believe that there is one other that I don't have that they're able to get as well. Or that you're able to get as a free-to-play as well. You may have opportunities to get the EM turret, the war drone, or the optic camo net. I'm not going to misquote and say that there are or that there aren't as a free-to-play player, as I obtained them from spending, so I can't really speak to the free-to-play side. Feel free to comment down below on if there are opportunities, but for the most part, it would be safe to say that most gold devices and getting them to 5 stars realistically within a realistic time frame, it is locked behind the paid window. So because some devices can get up to nearly 1 mil in power that I've seen so far each, I've set a 1 to 2 mil power buffer differential on how much stronger someone that is spending explicitly for devices and stuff can have their hero be at the peak after their armament set itself has been optimized, and it's about as good as it's going to get. That last bit, and that difference between that last 1 to 2 mil power, the difference between somebody that's, you know, has a 4.5 mil Bella or a 6.1 mil Bella, is typically someone that's going to have better devices. The fact that they can roll squad damage and squad damage reduction hones, and how much stronger those red hones are for those 2 values than any of the other red values that you can roll yeah, it's just a huge power climb that you're able to obtain from those 2 devices alone. So what we're looking at here is that by the end of this, with everything optimized, as a free-to-play player or a small spender, not spending for devices and stuff, you can expect to be between the 4 mil to 5 mil range. Most people that I've done this with that were free-to-play players ended up in like the 4 to 4.5 mil pretty quick, and then as time went on ended up towards, I believe one of them peaked at about 4.9, 5.1. But that was with like I believe a gold device that was like 0 stars. So it is realistic to get them up there. It does take a lot of time, and if you are focusing on one armament set, no, you're not going to have, you know, 5 mil marches, but I would say that 1 5 mil march and a few other 2 mil marches is probably going to be more beneficial than 5 3 mil marches. Especially in terms of like the level of impact you can have from a rally leader or a garrison leader standpoint. So moving on with the graphic, the blue stagnation line is basically that this is where you're going to spend most of your time now, is right here in between these 2 steps, because it took you 5 copies to get your armament from 0 stars and 2 hone slots to 3 stars, and 2 more hone slots. Let me make sure my math on that is right. Yeah, 1 star. Yeah, so you have these 2 by just having a copy. This is with 1 star, and then with 3 stars you'd have 4. So it took you 5 copies of that armament piece to go from here to here in steps. It's going to take you another 5 copies to go from here to this step. So that's why this stagnation line is here, is because it's going to take you a long time to get there. But that's what this orange line comes into factor for, is now that you're at 3 stars, it is obvious that this is going to be the piece that you're going to hold on to until it's 5 stars and optimal. We're going to create a baseline, is what I call it, for your stats. So now not only are they applicable, but they're going to have a baseline value of what we want each role to be, essentially, what each hone slot. And so what I'm talking about is that when I started out with my infantry set, I went to each piece and I said, okay, I'm at 3 stars. I want every hone in each slot to be infantry, squad, or garrison. And I want the base value to be at least a 3% value, if it's a percentage value, or 30 lethality or 30 block, which is the equivalent, basically, in terms of percentages. So 1% is about 10 lethality or 10 block. And I wanted a baseline of 30 or 3% in each hone slot for each piece. And I did that, and I just kept, every single time that I got blue hones or purple hones, I would just keep honing each slot until I had that baseline. And that took a long time and a lot of hones, but during that time, that allowed me to get to 5 stars, unlock the extra hone slot, and then do the same thing. I now have 6 more hone slots, without devices, 6 more hone slots for the 5th slot. And if they are the superb copies, the one with the border on it, you can get the rare hone slot in the 5th slot. And so typically, if you are doing a specific role, so I am a infantry garrison main account. So for me, things like the weapon, 5th slot, increasing all damage by 9% within 3 seconds after every skill release, was a very important hone to get, because that would increase the amount of damage and basically my output as garrison immensely. So it was worth the investment of all the purple hones to try to get that. So that was like the first armament that I was trying to rush to 5 stars, get the extra hone slot, and then invest all of my honing into, or all my purple honing chips to get that rare hone slot. But yes, anyways, you're building your baseline. With your baseline of 30 lethality or block, or 3% on the value, we are looking to get that essentially for each of the hone slots, and we're doing that as we're getting our gold armaments to 5 stars to unlock the final hone slot. We're getting all the 5th slot hones that we've just unlocked to applicable, but also 30 lethality block or 3% in the value. Once all of our values are to that baseline, then we look at raising our baseline to 40 lethality, 40 block, or 4%. Now, one common question that does come up is, well, throughout this process, as I'm going to baseline, what is the most optimal way to do that? And I advise to do it from your lowest values to highest values. So if you go through all of your pieces, so if you have 6 armament pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't mind this mark here. If you have 6 armament pieces and each one has 3 hone slots, is it 3? 1, 4. It's 4 hone slots. You have 6 armament pieces and 4 hone slots in each one. You have 24 honing opportunities, and each one needs to get to that baseline of 30 or 3. I would just look at each one and start with the lowest value. So if you had a 1.2% defense over here and a 1.7% attack here, and a 1.4% defense over here, I would do this one first, this one second, this one third. And I would just do that progressionally until everything got to baseline. And then once everything gets to your baseline 30 or 3, you then raise your baseline to a 40 or a 4, and that's how you just continue to progress. Same thing you do between 30 to 40. You would do it with your lowest values closest to 30, get them to above 40, and do that until all of them are there. These two lines here, what these represent is the S is for spenders and the F is for free to play. This is what your curve of power growth on your hero is going to look like. You're going to get a slight hump in power pretty much, or power climb here as a free to play player, and that's going to be between your your first copy and your 3 stars to or your 3-star armament. And that is because with a 3-star armament, you get 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 2 extra hone slots. So this little hump right here is your 2 extra hone slots, basically, that you're looking at. Is that right? Yeah. So that's your 2 extra hone slots. Then you get 1 extra hone slot, like right up here, pretty much. Or yeah. And then here for the spending side of things, it's the same exact power climb, but you're able to hit that 2 extra hone slots pretty quick, get them optimized pretty quick as well to your 30 baseline, and then your 30 to 40 baseline is where this is where you're pretty much going to stagnate, because you can get to that 30 or 3 baseline pretty quick, but getting to 5 stars and getting to the baseline 40 are still 2 things that kind of sit in your way. Especially even if you're trying to get 5-star copies for devices and stuff. But if you were to do this step by step, this is a progressional, step-by-step laid out process for you to go from 0 power or 0 armament power to having a hero that is in the 4 to 5 mil range as a free-to-play player, or a 6 to 7 mil hero power range as a spender. And again, that last 1 to 2 mil really comes down to your device. Or your devices and what you have. So yeah, hopefully this helps. I know this is a lot to kind of take in, a lot to look at, a lot of drawings all over the place. So feel free to watch the video back. I'll be around to answer any questions that you have in the comments. Please feel free to message me in the game as well. I also just wanted to take a moment to say thank you so much, guys, for getting my channel where you guys have. We're sitting just shy of 400 subscribers at the time of making this video. I believe we're at like 384, something like that, which is insane to me, considering this is just me getting back into a hobby originally of just making edits. And I've enjoyed this game for a minute. But yeah, no, you guys are awesome. Really appreciate everybody that tunes in, checks out the channel, has subscribed, likes the videos, and just, reaches out, so feel free to reach out at any time, ask any questions, do my best to answer them all. And yeah, if you guys like these guides or have any interest in videos like this in the future, laying out anything else in detailed process, or in detail of a process or something in the game itself, please feel free to let me know below. But also like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and that'll show me also with the interaction of this video if this is the type of video you guys want me to make, or if you guys want me to stick to live streams. But yeah, no, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one. See ya.